She kissed me.
Where?
In the car.
10 Things I Hate About You.
The mid-90s saw an unusually specific trend in the movies aimed at teenagers after Clueless proved to be the surprise hit that actually revived the John Hughes style of teen-focused stories that had been swiftly killed by Heathers.
Fuck me gently with the chainsaw.
As Clueless updated the Jane Austen novel Emma to be set in a modern high school, filmmakers saw dollar signs and turned to other works of classic literature, and it wasn't long before Shakespeare got the high school treatment too.
I know Shakespeare's a dead white guy, but he knows his shit, so we can overlook that.
Fun fact, Julia Stiles had starred in 3 modernised Shakespeare adaptations, a 2000 Hamlet with the language mostly all intact, a better-than-you'd-expect version of Othello titled simply Oh,
If you want to ask me if I'm cheating on you, go ahead, get some balls and ask!
and of course,
I burn, I pine, I perish.
The Taming of the Shrew is a play that has aged so poorly there's been centuries of discussion over whether it was really subversive all along.
I will not!
After a framing device, we meet a tempestuous wench called Katerina who turns off all potential suitors in spite of her large dowry.
I pray you, Father, is it your will to make a whore of me among these mates?
She has a much more desirable sister Bianca, but she can't be married until Kate is.
Father, this man...
One of Bianca's suitors, Lucentio, arranges for a man called Petruchio to marry Kate, and he spends the play psychologically torturing her into obeying him without question. It was prone to subversions even in Shakespeare's day, as there was a fan sequel called A Tamer, Tamed, featuring Petruchio getting his comeuppance from his second wife that Will apparently approved of. There are endless debates about the final scene, where Kate gives a grand speech about how wives should always obey their husbands.
Too little payment for so great a debt.
And the most popular interpretation is that since Petruchio sets himself up to win a bet, Kate hasn't been tamed at all and is just playing along to get them both the money. The first film adaptation in 1929 famously had her wink to Bianca after the speech, so this brings us to 1999.
Hello, Katerina. Make anyone cry today?
Sadly, no. But it's only 4:30.
10 Things I Hate About You naturally updates the play to a modern high school, with the dowry plot point now being changed to the daughter's father not letting them date.
But she's a mutant. What if she never dates?
Then you'll never date. Oh, I like that.
And the Petruchio analogue being paid to romance Kat so Bianca can have some fun. And of course, him falling in love with her for real.
Well, then was that a no?
No!
Throw in some nifty side characters and basically a joke every other second, and you have something really, really special.
People perceive you as somewhat
Tempestuous?
heinous bitch is the term used most often.
It was an interesting move to take a play like The Taming of the Shrew, unlike a more commercial property, and not only modernise it, but comment on the original in a pretty effective way.
You forget, I don't care what people think.
Yes, you do.
The Bianca character in particular stands out.
I know you can be overwhelmed, and you can be underwhelmed. But can you ever just be whelmed? I think you can in Europe.
The play presents her as a somewhat one-dimensional foil for Kate, a saintly ingenue who's the ideal daughter and would have no problem getting married if not for that tempestuous sister.
Therefore I have a husband for the elder!
But of course, there are interpretations that paint Bianca as a bit more manipulative, merely putting on an act to please her father.
Hi, Daddy.
Hello, precious.
10 Things I Hate About You recognises this potential and uses it to flesh out Bianca's character.
I happen to like being adored, thank you.
She's ultimately a girl who wants to have a little fun, but is forced into a ridiculous situation by her father.
Every time you even think about kissing a boy, I want you to picture wearing this under your halter top.
You are so completely unbalanced.
So she uses the assets she already has, her beauty and popularity, to get around Daddy's loopholes.
And you do that for me?
Hell yes.
It's refreshing to see her dynamic as the prettier or more feminine sister not being demonized.
Snotty prissy and a member of their stupid snotty prissy club.
It's an easy trap to fall into, especially in the 90s and 2000s, putting the less feminine girl in a more positive light because of her lack of girliness, thanks to the fallacy that tomboys are somehow more real.
We're what real women look like.
But here, the narrative recognizes that Bianca and Kate just have different interests.
Where did you come from? Planet Loser?
As opposed to planet, look at me, look at me.
Bianca's flaws don't come from her femininity, and she doesn't have to get rid of any of it to grow as a person.
That's for making my day bleed. That's for my sister. And that's for me.
So, at the end of the day, she gets to be a flawed yet positive character with a three-dimensional personality. Plus, she gets these zingers.
This morning, I delivered a set of twins to a 15-year-old girl. Do you know what she said to me?
I'm a crack whore who should have made my skeezy boyfriend wear a condom?
Moving on to Kat.
Now there's a way to get a guy's attention, huh?
My mission in life.
You know how sometimes when watching an ensemble piece, your favorite character is rarely the main one?
I still maintain that he kicked himself in the balls.
Yeah, that isn't the case here.
I want you. I need you. Oh baby, oh baby.
Some razor-sharp writing helps transform one of Shakespeare's most problematic characters into the belle of the ball.
Don't for 1 minute think that you had any effect whatsoever on my panties.
What's important to note about the original is that it was possibly seen as problematic even in its day due to changing gender roles. For instance, arranged marriages were beginning to fall out of fashion.
Farewell.
So there's often talk about whether the play is actually condemning the treatment of Kate.
Such mating is not halfway to my heart, but if it were, doubt not my care should be to paint your face and use you like a fool.
10 Things I Hate About You incorporates the subtext that a bunch of men are using her for their own ends into the actual text.
It wasn't like that, okay?
Really, what was it like? A down payment now and then a bonus for sleeping with me?
Framing Bianca's admirers as a bunch of horny teenage boys and pointing out how shallow their attractions are.
What is it with this chick? She have beer-flavored nipples?
Hey!
In the case of Cameron, he gets a dose of karma when Bianca ends up using him, and they don't become a couple until after they've formed an actual bond as friends.
Are you okay?
Never been better.
With Joey, he's given a more ulterior motive,
He even had a bet going with his friends. He's gonna nail you tonight.
and painted as responsible for why Kat is the way she is.
Everyone was doing it, so I did it. Afterwards, I told him I didn't want to anymore because I wasn't ready, and he got pissed and he dumped me.
Kat is presented as a shrew like Kate is, but unlike Kate, the narrative goes out of its way to show the audience why a girl might be like this, rather than just painting her off as a one-note mean girl.
You don't always have to be who they want you to be, you know.
Note that this is one of the few 90s teen comedies to lack an alpha bitch character.
So what I want doesn't matter.
You're 18, you don't know what you want.
She's dealing with her mother leaving, an overprotective father, an ex-boyfriend who mistreated her, and that's on top of the typical teenage hormones.
Expressing my opinion is not a terrorist action.
The way you expressed your opinion to Bobby Ridgway?
The movie also does not excuse her behavior, and shows that she does need to let people in and be kinder to others.
But it really meant a lot to me.
I'm glad.
And like Bianca, she doesn't have to trade what makes her unique to do so.
I guess in this society, being male and an asshole makes you worthy of our time.
I feel as though this film was made by people who really wanted to expand on the idea that Kate isn't just a brat who needs to be taught a lesson, but rather a troubled soul who behaves the way she does because of deeper psychological issues.
I didn't care about the money, okay? I cared about you.
You are so not who I thought you were.
The shrew is not tamed when a superior male tortures her into bending to his will, but when someone is willing to look past the bad behavior and see a complex young woman that just needs to be loved.
I fell for him.
Really?
So instead of the male characters celebrating the shrew being beaten into submission by the end, they instead learn to understand her and love her for the way she is. And Kat herself is given an arc of learning not to hate the world so much, and giving her love to those who are worthy of it.
But then, you know, there's always drums and bass and maybe even one day a tambourine.
Julia Stiles is great at making you hate Kat when you're supposed to, and also sympathize with her when the time is right.
I hate it when you make me laugh. Even worse when you make me cry.
And this scene, which takes the place of the speech about male dominance, the crying was an unscripted ad-lib that they only needed one take of.
But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
Heath Ledger is fine.
If you're planning on asking me out again, you might as well just get it over with.
Do you mind? You're kind of ruining this for me.
It would be a couple of years before his most iconic role.
Oh, well, then a fox you shall be until I find your name. My foxy lady.
What? Which one did you think I meant?
Semi-political, but mostly...
Smoke a lot of weed?
Yeah. Joseph Gordon-Levitt will always be one of my acting idols, even if his own iconic roles would follow in the years to come. And this film is full of excellent supporting performances.
The point is, Kat.
Alison Janney demanded way more screen time.
Same little asswipe, shit for brains everywhere.
Mr. Morgan might also be the best teacher character in anything, ever.
Anything else?
Yeah, go to the office. You're pissing me off.
One of the strengths in this film's writing is that it knows the cliches of teen rom-coms, but also knows the right way to use them.
You were paid to take me out by the one person I truly hate. I knew this was a setup.
As a result, when the typical liar revealed sequence happens, it's actually quite effective as a tearjerker. After all, as I've said before, cliches work when done well, and 10 Things I Hate About You knows how to play its cards.
You know, she's beautiful and deep, I'm sure.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference between like and love. Because I like my Skechers, but I love my Prada backpack.
Despite having hate in the title, there are endless things to love about this movie.
My insurance does not cover PMS.
Hell, I tend to pop more for acting and writing, and yet I geek out at the film's cinematography. Who else shamelessly loves 90s-style jib shots and helicopter movements? The second one ties into the ridiculously incredible soundtrack that makes this more of a Y2K time capsule than The Craft. I'd also accuse this movie's screenplay of influencing my speech patterns, if I hadn't only seen it for the first time last year.
Not a big talker, huh?
Depends on the topic. My fenders don't really whip me into a verbal frenzy.
But at the end of the day, it's an endlessly quotable show with plenty of laughs that land.
I have a dick on my face, don't I?
A whole cast of characters we love.
I've got Deviants to see and a novel to finish. Now scoot. Scoot!
And plenty of heart underneath its snarky exterior.